Hello, my Graphic Design 1 students. I'm Mr. Ivy, and I'm going to be your instructor for this semester. Since this is the first week of class, I wanted to do a recording that shows you everything about the class and its online structure and how we can best get started and move into our first projects. By now, you've logged into the front page, and so I'm going to give you a quick overview of some things to think about. As you scroll down, there's 3 things that you need to make sure you've done before you can start any of the projects and any of the work for this class. First off, have a look at the textbook link to register your textbook. Now, this class has 2 different textbooks to it. We've got the Adobe Photoshop Classroom in a book, and we've got Adobe Illustrator Classroom in a book. We are going to use both of these texts, and it's the 2024 edition. The reason we're using 2024 is because it's essentially the same as the newer version, but you don't have to buy the latest edition. You can buy or purchase a used copy or an older copy without having any of the newer projects in it. It's all going to be exactly the same. But do make sure you get the 2024 edition of these books. Now, these are published by, I think, Peach Pit Press, and there's a link, if you follow it at the bottom, here it is, that you can click on to go and register your books. Registering your books simply gives you access to all of the project files that are inside of the textbook itself. However, I'm going to let you know, I'm going to give you all the project files as well. Once we jump into the projects, I'll show you where you can find those links. So you're not required to register it, but I do want to make sure that you have a copy or have access to both of these textbooks because we are going to be using them. The other thing we can do, let's go back to our home page. Everyone should have either received an email or already set up an account for your Adobe software. Now, if you're new to taking a graphic design class, you would have received an email from Adobe saying that you've been added to our licensing roster. You're all paying a lab fee to be in this class. That lab fee is going towards purchasing software so that you can use it on your computer. Now, if you've had a graphic design class before in the past, chances are you're still on the list and you don't have to register or do anything special. You can continue using your license. But if you are new and you've gotten an email, make sure you can log in to your Adobe account using your MC email address. That's very important. The MC address ensures that you're using the proper license. The other thing is, once you've logged into Adobe, make sure that you've downloaded the Creative Cloud software. Specifically, we're going to be using Photoshop first, and then we're going to jump into Illustrator after midterm. If you have any problems registering, downloading, or using the software, you need to make me know immediately. There's no way that you can finish these projects without having access to Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator. Also, I want to clarify, we are specifically using the desktop versions of this software, not a tablet, not an online version. I am aware that those exist, and though they're actually pretty powerful, but everything that I'm teaching specifically covers the desktop versions of it. So you need to have access to it on your computer, or you can come into the lab and work on it in our computer. But those are the software that you need to have. The final thing I want you to do is to complete the syllabus and addendum quiz. Now, this isn't really a quiz for a grade. All this does is cover all the information that we normally talk about on the syllabus and on the addendum the first day of class. I don't want to waste your time having to read through everything. I've made this into a simple little video. You can watch the video of me explaining everything. You can go online and I'll show you where you can see the syllabus and download a copy of it yourself. Now, when you take this quiz, let's see, I'll hit begin and see what it looks like. Like I said, it's not for a grade. All you're going to be doing is checking off that you've read each little part and that you've got an understanding. If you have any problems or questions about the syllabus or the addendum, please feel free to reach out and let me know. One other thing that I'll also point out is if you have any kind of special accommodations that you've spoken to the Office of Student Counseling about, please let me know as soon as possible how I can work with you to meet those accommodations should they come up and should arise. That's your responsibility to do as well. For now, let me see if I can back out. We'll just return to our main one. Looking again at the front page, there's a tentative schedule. Now, this tentative schedule link is going to be very important. This will give you an idea of when everything is going to be due. We're going to have about 7 different units for every project and book exercise that we go through. Everything that's due is going to be due at the end of each unit. And I always try to give you plenty of time to work through these things. Being an online class, there's no designated meeting time. So it's on you to be able to log in at the beginning of every unit and work through all the projects. You can see we're going to be doing a new unit roughly every 2 weeks. So we're going to be moving pretty fast. Do not wait to the last minute to work on these projects. Designate some time, set aside a couple of hours either every day or every other day to work through everything. And I promise it can be done within the 2 weeks that I give you. But this is the pacing that we'll move through. It's tentative, it's subject to change, and I'll always give you plenty of time. Now, since this is an online class, no class meetings, you can still catch up with me and meet with me if you have any problems or need tutoring or have an issue that comes up with the project or anything that you're working on. This class has designated tutoring time and a designated lab. You can come to Avon 411. It's our graphic design studio here at the top of Avon Hall, and you may use the computers that are in here to be able to work on your assignments. You can also use printers and scanners, however you need, as long as you're working on graphic design work. I also have designated time that you can connect with me to be able to get reviews, to get feedback, and to look at your work and to help you should any problems arise on your own. I know working with software is difficult, and so having me available and being able to ask me questions is what I want you to be able to do. I can connect with you 2 ways. First, you can connect with me through Zoom. If you want to be able to face chat with me and be able to share your screen, Zoom is how I do it. On the front page, I'll show you where you can find a link to the Zoom chat room that I have set up. The other thing you can do is simply come to Avon 411. On Mondays and Wednesdays from 9 o'clock until 11 o'clock, 2 hours, you can come and be able to meet with me one-on-one. Now, I'm not going to teach during this time. I'm expecting you to be able to bring your resources, bring your book, watch the videos, bring whatever you're working on so that I can help you. At no time am I going to sit down and work through this one-on-one. But you can Zoom with me during these hours, Mondays and Wednesdays, 9 to 11. You can come and meet with me and sit and work and be able to use this lab time as well. So if you need to have a dedicated time, that's the time to be able to do it. Now, I do have office hours that are posted, and I have office hours just about every day. If you need to, contact me and I'll set up a meeting time if you need to have something more one-on-one to be able to work through this. Some other things to look through on here is our learning modules, textbook information, and software requirements. Let me click on software really quickly so you can see this. Like I said, you are required to have the Adobe software in the latest version. Make sure you're backing up your files, not just saving to the computer, save it to the cloud, save it to the jump drive. You are responsible for your work and your files and making sure everything is available. Turning in work late or missing something because your computer died or because you didn't save it is not an excusable absence. You're required to be able to set that up correctly. Now, if you have trouble getting it available on your computer, let me know as soon as possible. Some computers run slower, some computers can be troubleshooted, but your computers are also your responsibility for making sure that it works. And you can read through all of this to get a better understanding of exactly what's necessary. Now, where to find your actual projects. Whenever you log in to the classroom page, everything that we're doing is going to be on the Canvas page. You can scroll down and see, here's our first unit already set up. You can get an idea of what we're going to be covering, and also the book lessons that we're going to be doing for this first unit, the next 2 weeks. So you can see lessons 1 through 3 are what we're going to do. If you click on the Learning Modules link, this will take you to where you can find all the information for each of the projects and the book exercises. Now, there are 2 main grades you're going to get. 60% of your grade is going to come from the project that we're working on. Every unit will have a major project. 40% of your grade is going to come from the book projects. Each of the books breaks down step by step how to do different things and how to use different tools and techniques. All the tools and techniques that you do in the book project for the exercises, you're going to go into and use for the unit project, the major, bigger project. Let's have a look at the book project first. I'll show you lesson 1. You can see all of these are open and available. There is no time limit on them. It's just a due date for everything. When you log in, you can see lesson 1, getting to know the work area. This is what it's about. Here is where you can download the project files. Same thing that the book gives to you. You can also see video recordings of me working through the entire project. So you've got the book to follow, you've got videos to follow, and you can come in for tutoring time to be able to work through each of these book projects. Now, these videos are recorded and uploaded to YouTube, so you can watch them later or have access to them at any time. But follow them closely. Sometimes I'll even point out things that the book doesn't even uncover. The other thing to note, whenever you turn in something, pay attention to what I'm looking for. Sometimes I'm looking for a very specific file type. Like I want you to turn in either a Photoshop file or a JPEG or some other thing that the book will talk about. Here is where I'm trying to tell you how to format your file. Get into a habit of putting your name on your files too. It makes it easier to turn things in. And when you scroll down, this is where you can upload your files. If we go back, this is what each of the book projects are going to look like. And you can see you've got access to all of those. The main unit project is a little bit different. These are not in the book. These unit projects are meant to take everything you've learned and turn it into a bigger project that you can do on your own. These are meant to be the kind of things that you get a lot more freedom in designing. You're not just following step by step. You're doing whatever you want to do to design this and using the tools and techniques to do it. In this case, this first project we're working through is going to be a little menu for a restaurant called The Grill. You can download the project files, and when you download these files, here's what they look like. Usually I'll give you things like a PDF. I'll give you images to work from. In this case, I'm giving you a Photoshop document. That's a template, and you can open this up and make edits to here. Also, I'll always try to give you an example of what I'm looking through. So here's my example of how I would design this. But don't feel like you have to follow my example the entire time. I want you to be able to change colors and fonts and placement and move things around and turn this into your own design. As long as you're meeting the criteria for the project, it's up to you. But just note, you don't have to follow my example the entire time. I give you a lot of flexibility on these projects. You can read through the key objectives, and as always, I've got a demo. You can watch me work through the project as well. So follow along if you need the extra help on these videos. Otherwise, these main projects are up to you to be able to figure out and be able to pull together and to work on for your own design. By the way, I'll scroll down. I do grading based on a rubric. Right now I need to update this rubric, but you can see exactly what I'll be marking for and counting off points for and doing things. And again, here at the bottom is where I want you to upload your file and how I want you to upload it. Ooh, here's another important thing. Photoshop files tend to be very, very large, especially once we get a lot of layers and a lot of pictures brought into them. Because of this, if you have difficulty uploading your file to the Canvas page, upload it to your Google Drive folder and share it with me that way. You can do this through email, you can do this through, there's a share button on Google Drive, but it's on you to be able to turn in your work and show progress that you've done the work on the due dates. Speaking of due dates, let's go back one to our modules page. So on the modules page, you can see the unit project and unit due date is going to be August 29th. This means everything for this first unit is due on August 29th. The project, lessons 1, 2, and 3, all are due by that time. Now, if I do have extra credit, I give you the entire semester to work on extra credit. So you can turn this in at any time. I don't always have extra credit, but in this case, I've got a little extra thing that you can do along with this. The final thing that I'll add to the modules for learning is some notes and some tips. If I find that a lot of people are struggling through one particular part of a project or may need some extra help with something, I'll be able to post that under the notes and tips section once the class gets started. All right, going back to our main page. So there's where you can find your projects under the learning modules. Here's where you can get the information. Pay attention to when things are due and what the schedule looks like. If you open up the frequently asked questions, here's where you can read the syllabus. You can get information about the class. If you wanted to see, here's my office hours and when you can see when Mr. Ivy is available, here is where you can find the Contact Mr. Ivy. It's under the frequently asked questions tab down here. And then finally, some student resources in case you need help in class or outside of class on not just my class, but others that you're taking as well. The final thing I'll point out is that the last day to add a full-time class is August 25th, and the last day to drop a class with 100% tuition refund is August 28th. There is a drop date that for a automatic withdrawal that comes up later, and this class has no final exam, so everything that we do is just whatever we turn in. The last thing I'll point out, and I promise this is the last thing, I will be taking roll for this class. And here's how I do roll for an online class. You are required to log in at least once a week. I can go in as a teacher. Let's see, I'm going to leave student view, and I can see how often you're participating. I can go to my people, and I can see my entire class roster, and I can see everybody that's on here. And I can also see the last active status for this. I'm going to check the last active status to see when you log in and when you are, or if you're keeping up with your stuff. If I find that you're not logging in, you're certainly not turning in anything, you're not meeting with me for tutoring or making any effort, you're going to be receiving an absence for that week, and I'm going to start warning you about being able to drop the class or reaching a failing grade. Since this is an online class, up to 5 absences is what you can have for an excusable absence. After that, it's an automatic failure, and we'll be talking to the dean about that. All right, that's it for the grand tour of this particular class. I'm looking forward to working with you this week. If you have any problems or questions, shoot me an email, ivy@mc.edu. Come see me during my office hours. Come see me during tutoring time. I'm going to be here Mondays and Wednesdays, 9 o'clock until 11 o'clock. I hope you all have a great start to your semester. I'm praying for you. You're in my thoughts, and I'll see you later.